Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Akakudas. I want to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone, and the sincere Shalom to the Akim out here that's doing game, pushing his work in truth and in sincerity. I want to go on this video that false teachers / prophets cause God's true way to be mocked and rejected. Okay? Now, I'm going to start off with the book of 2 Peter 2:1, and it says, "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily or privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them." Okay? And it says, "And bring upon themselves swift destruction." Okay? So, back then, during this time, when Peter wrote this, okay, even still today, it all, correlates to the Israelites, okay? And, a lot of Israelites, that the scriptures say just, not all Israel is of Israel, so you got to be spiritual in that sense, okay? But a lot of people aren't, okay? And it says, "And many shall follow their pernicious ways," right? Which goes into damaging or harmful, okay? "By reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of." Okay, and some people follow after these teachers, okay, for the wrong reasons, okay, and then end up getting hurt and rejecting the truth, especially when those teachers come against the truth, so it is damaging to the person. You're getting used and abused, and then your whole life, in the truth, you've been, forget Great Millstone and the true doctrine. The next thing you know, you end up continuing to get hurt and abused. Well, see, when you got that scoffing mindset of, forgetting, the true understanding, that's dangerous to you. Now, some people have woken up to, us rebuking them, rebuking the false teachers, and started seeing what we were saying, okay? The guys switching up the doctrine and stuff like that, they start seeing what we say about, these, false teachers. But, people who are super invested into, their leaders and thinking that they can't do no wrong, following them, until they get wronged, now you're speaking evil about the truth. You're blaspheming the word, and we've seen that happen so many times when people fall out, and say, I don't believe, what the scriptures even. Some people even turn back to Christianity, but some people even just gave up the Bible altogether, because Christianity is, a whole nutcase in itself, okay? But yeah, the reason of, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of, and that's what we going in on, okay? That these people, they follow their harmful ways, and then the truth end up getting evil spoken of, the Lord's truth, Okay. You have these other groups, right? Who, they go in on skin color and say that, the Israelites look only so-called black, that, Israelite cannot look like another nation, and, they'll go out on the streets with the madness that they speak, and then when people come across us, a great millstone, which we say that, Israelites can look like all nations. Some people automatically group us in with these other, what you would call BHIs, Black Hebrew Israelites. Okay, great millstone, are not, Black Hebrew Israelites. Okay, but to the naked eye, you see all these people wearing their shirt garments and, all that, right? It looks like we all are the same, but we teach against a lot of this stuff that these, the madness that these groups are speaking and spewing out. Okay? And it says, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you. And you people just want to hear the smooth, words. Okay? You come into the truth with your own motives. Okay? You come into the truth with your own motives, then you get linked in with a leader whose motives are even more wicked than yours. And that's the trap, that the Lord set for people. Because you ain't coming in sincerely. Okay? It says, whose judgment now of a long time lingers not, and their damnation slumbers not. Okay? So, these people who have these motives, as far as false teachers, their motives is to make merchandise of you, because they know that, hey, continuing to teach that lie is going to keep on getting y'all, hooked in. Okay? And being hooked in, brings the money. Okay? So, I put that into ChatGPT, that scripture, right? That's, but 2 Peter 2:2, which says, what does by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of, right? It says, this phrase is dense, but Peter is being very precise. Okay? It says, by reason of, right? This means because of them, on account of these people. Okay? Peter is referring back to false teachers mentioned in verse 1. Okay? It says, because of false teachers and those who follow them. Okay? The way of truth. This is God's true doctrine and righteous path, not opinions and traditions. Right? Psalm 119:30. I have chosen the way of truth. John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. It says, so the way of truth, the true gospel, the holy living that flows from it, okay, shall be evil spoken of. This means blasphemed, slandered, mocked, or defamed. The Greek word blasphemeo, okay, to speak against or bring reproach. Okay? It says the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you. That's Romans 2:24. Okay? Because, like I said, people who don't know this truth, other Israelites that don't know this truth, you see a false teacher or a false prophet, You be like, if that's what it takes to be a man of the Lord, I ain't with it. And this is not something that we are trying to when you go into the word convert, con means with, vert means up, upstanding, we're telling you, hey, don't believe in, we are telling you to believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? To don't go out here and go commit murders, don't go out here sleeping with the next man's wife, okay? It's a lot of different things, man, that people do, that is crooked and wicked, stealing, not having faith, finding out that you're an Israelite and, believing in the scriptures. We setting the record straight as far as, Great Millstone, with the doctrine, So we are, breaking down the scriptures the proper way, so that, you can have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on what you're supposed to do as far as, how to live, and to not die, okay? Because when you follow wicked ways, then you're on the path of death, okay? But, through this truth, you have hope that you may be able to live, and be saved. You got a lot of people that think that they saved already, It says, put together in plain language. It says, 2 Peter 2:2 means, because false teachers live corruptly while claiming to represent God, outsiders will mock, slander, and reject the true faith, thinking that their wicked behavior is what God's truth produces. Okay? And the Lord, He spoke about these things, So a wicked tree bring forth good fruit, Or a corrupt tree, you should corrupt the wicked, right? It says how this works in real life. When people see sexual immorality, oh, this man that slept with my wife, or he took my wife, or, you got adultery in the camps, and, all different type of crazy behavior, right? It says greed, hypocrisy, exploitation, pride coming from those who claim to teach truth. They conclude, and it says Christianity, but it should be Israelites, right? In this context, right? What we speak in, right? If that's Israelites, I want no part of it. Okay, if that's what Hebrew Israelite represents, I don't want no part of it. And we seen that, happen. Even with guys who were in Great Millstone, And this is a warning, to false teachers and false prophets, because, you're going to get your reward, which is, being destroyed. You're going to be put to shame and put to death. Okay? Pride goes before destruction. Okay? It says biblical pattern. This happens repeatedly. Isaiah 52:5. My name continually every day is blasphemed. Okay? Romans 2:23. Through breaking the law dishonorest thou God. Okay? It says false leadership causes God's truth to be dragged through the mud. Okay? When Peter says many shall follow them, their corruption is attractive to the flesh easier than obedience, more popular than truth. Okay, so when many follow, the damage is multiplied. Okay, so it's attractive to, what you want to do. You don't want to obey the scriptures. Okay, it's okay for someone that not obeying the scriptures. Talk about that. Rebellion is like the sin of witchcraft. Okay, so when you got a rebellious guy who's a false teacher or false prophet, okay, saying these things, a lot of people try to make sense of it because they don't want to really obey what's inside the scriptures, and that, a lot of you people, you try to find an excuse for why you in following the way that you are, which we understand it is, the Lord got you where he got you at, for his purpose. Okay, some people get brought into this truth just for other people to be exposed, okay, and gotten rid of, okay, which is a scary thing. Okay, so it says, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of, means false teachers cause God's true way to be mocked and rejected because their sinful lives misrepresented. They don't just destroy themselves, they damage God's reputation among unbelievers. So you're destroying yourself, you're trying to destroy the truth, and you're destroying other people as well. So why wouldn't the Lord destroy you? Why wouldn't the Lord get rid of somebody like that? And you're damaging. Okay? This is one of the reasons why, the Lord has a whole chapter, towards scribes and Pharisees, people who are hypocrites. Okay? Because you're damaging Yahweh Shem Yahushua's reputation and his truth, his real truth, man. Okay? So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to say shalom till next time.